Hello, everybody. Happy Sabbath day. Hope everybody's having a kick-ass day, and I hope that your rigged sports team wins for you. That's what I hope. We're super excited to get PS the plumber. I see he's in here, so maybe I'll try and invite him here. Matthew, how are you, my man? How is Albany? Buddy, what did you send me that I thought was hilarious? I can't even remember. Mr. Sukaris. You driving around again today? Ah, the Bills. It's all rigged, man. It's all rigged. They're losing. I had a discussion in one of my little groups that the Matrix has you. What's the sound like? Can you still hear my furnace? It's about to kick off. Hopefully. The Bills need to pick it up. Home right now, busy. There's few people busier than Michael and Matt out there killing it for Central Therm. We actually have a couple of Central Therm jobs coming up that we're going to use their stuff. So I'll be talking to Dan the man here shortly. Just out of the hot tub. Love it. Now you got to jump in the cold tub, man. That's how that goes. All right, let me see if I can invite the big man on here. So I'm a bit out of practice. We'll see if he kicks in. Ha!
Yo.
How's it going?
Pretty good, man, considering.
You looking good? Got it all together? Got the earbuds in the perfect spot? Get your glamour shot in?
Yeah, I'm trying. My glamour shot. I don't ever look any more glamorous than I do any other day of the week.
That's how it goes, right? What you see is what you get?
Pretty much, yep.
Yep. Oh, Michael's calling you out.
What's up, man? Yeah, he's an hour north to me.
Yeah, you're right in that neck of the woods, aren't you?
Yep. I'm right in between him and New York City, like right in the middle. So it's about the same distance to him as it is to, like, you know, the Bronx or something for me, you know?
Yeah. That's awesome. That's the crazy thing about you guys in the eastern states is everything's like, for us, it's so close. Like I got to go to 3 hours and to see anything from Calgary, and then you guys are 3 hours and you pass 4 states almost.
Oh yeah, it depends. Like there's a part of the Northeast where it's just like, you know, you could be with an hour each way. You're in all different states for sure.
Yeah. When I was in Indianapolis there, Milwaukee was, an hour and a half drive. Head over to Ohio wasn't far away. Anyway, it's crazy how many people are over there.
Oh yeah. Well, if that's me or you, your picture's just locking up on me here.
Everything's cool. Everything's cool on my end, I think.
All right, cool. I hear it was fun.
Okay.
Pardon, yeah,
like you said,
a lot of skull in my mouth. Sorry.
I thought that was like a freaking cowboy thing. There's lots of skull cowboys around this joint, but
yeah, it's
smokeless tobacco, man.
Yeah, it's not good for you, but you know.
What is good for you these days, man? Hard work's bad for you.
I don't do drugs for you. You know what I mean? Like I don't smoke pot. I don't really even drink. You know what I mean? It's like I drink a lot of coffee.
You got to do something, man.
Yeah, I know. Well, the other day I fell down the stairs, so that was something.
You fell down the stairs.
I'm at a service call, and it's about 10 o'clock at night, you know, my time. And I grabbed my Vito bag with the shoulder strap. I had a bunch of stuff in my hands, and I went to walk out. And it's one of those little hallways where you walk in, The kitchen's on your right. You can kind of go down a set of steps, turn, and go all the way to the basement. And they just had a bunch of random, shit there by the door as I walked down. I knocked it over with my bag, knocked it down the first flight of stairs. So I'm like, all right, put all my stuff in the van. I come back in. I'm like, all right, let me clean this mess up that I made. It was just like a 3-legged little ice chest, like an ice thing. You'd put an ice bucket in with a little wooden lid with all sorts of crap on it, keys and paperwork. And I'm like, all right, let me go pick it up. I have a size 14 shoe, by the way, big goofy feet,
Yeah, yeah.
So I walked down to the first flight.
That's huge.
Almost no light.
How tall are you?
Oh, a little over 6 foot. Not that tall.
Just got big, goofy feet.
Yeah. Well, I had a size 13 foot when I was 12, and I was like a foot shorter. So it was like I looked like Ronald McDonald feet. It was awkward when I was shorter, man. Well, yeah, I made it to that first flight of stairs in this dark little hallway, and I tripped over the very thing. I knocked down the stairs, and there was no handrails. It's like still being built. This whole basement was like finished, and I'm like, fuck. I just kind of like expanded my arms. I was already too far forward and committed to do anything. So I pushed my arms out. I thought my hand was going to go right to the sheetrock, And I just kind of did this and just went, I had like time to think about it in my head. And I'm like, oh, shit. Here I go. I'm like, oh, crap. And then my feet flipped over me, ass over tea kettle, and I was on the ground just tweaked laying there. And this old Italian lady comes out, and she's like, oh, my God, are you okay? I'm like, oh, shit. So, like, I can't really turn my head to the left too far, and my right shoulder, like, if I lift any weight above about a 90-degree angle, my arm straight out, yeah. So, but it could have been worse. 3 points of contact, I say. Yeah, it's like, definitely could have been a lot
You ended
worse.
up with 3 points of contact.
Yeah, like I said, that was the only thing I could do was like kind of like spread my arms out and then I was like, shit, I can't do anything. All my weight, I'm 225 pounds. I'm too far forward to like lift the leg and scoot forward. I was like, shit, I'm done. But could have been worse.
Those are my favorite accidents where you have like 3 seconds to sort of plan your fall. Where you're like, okay, it's happening. Where's my softest point? Is it going to be wrist or shoulder, or am I just going to take it like ribs?
Yeah, well, it reminds somebody. I had this conversation, I think yesterday or the day before with somebody, and I was like, yeah, it was almost like it was very slow motion in my mind. It was almost like that scene in the Sherlock Holmes movie where they had the fight. And Robert Downey Jr. was like, I'm going to punch to the jugular. We had all this time to think this shit through, and then he's like, I was like, oh shit, I'm going to hit my face, and I'm going to move my arm in front of my face. Yeah, it was.
So unlike Robert Downey Jr., who turns out victorious, you end up as a crumpled tweaker on the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, yep. It was awkward, yep. But it could have been worse.
It could have been. While you're here and you're functioning, so it clearly could have been worse, right?
Yeah, I could have broke my wrist, or I'm good. I'm just sore,
Yeah.
That's all. But other than that,
well, tell us a little bit about you, my man. You running your own show over there?
Yeah, I started working for myself in 2004 out here.
Nice.
And, I've said it on other little things. Like I didn't really try to start it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to start working for myself, or I never really even wanted to or thought of like, oh, I'm going to be self-employed. I worked for the last company that I worked for, like full time, where that was my job, was a real high-paced, commission-driven company, and I made a lot of money. I mean, 20 years ago, I was making, well over 100,000 US at that company, which was like tremendous back then. And but I didn't even have the time to like cash my checks, and I was younger. I wanted to do stuff. My life was in that van. And it's like I'd be an hour from home, and then they would send me to another call, although I was supposed to be done in 20 minutes, and could then have to drive an hour home. So finally, I gave a month's notice, and the boss ended up getting all tiffy with me, and he fired me that day. It was the middle of winter too. It was cold as shit outside. It was like maybe 10 degrees, Fahrenheit outside. It was pretty cold, and I had to like stand out there, and I was like, "Are you seriously not like this is what we're going to do right now?" And he took all my tools out, laid them on the ground. He was a very sensitive little guy, not the waters, that owned the company, and I guess
I'm totally sensitive. I get it.
I guess he was just offended that, he's like, you made all this money. And I'm like, yeah, I made you all that money too,
Yeah.
But so that happened. And as far as going back to work, like I always just had customers that I do work for, and months went by, and a buddy of mine asked me, did I find a job? And I'm like, no, I've been too busy working. So haven't had a chance to find anything yet. And then at that point, I was like, all right. I never really had to. Yeah. So I just kept doing my thing. And then I realized that I'm doing this. So, back then I just had a little business card. It just said like plumbing services by Chris Armstrong. You know what I mean? On a blank, it was like black letters on a white card. I had like, put them in the deli and, it's stuff like that. Cause there wasn't really much going on with the internet back then, but I'd put things in the grocery stores and the hardware stores, and each customer you end up getting their neighbor if you do right by them, and their mother and their brother, and spider webs out to to like what you got. You got multi-generational client base, and every obviously you win some, you lose some, but if you take care of the people, you end up usually. I look at it like I get every customer eventually gains me 3 or 5 or whatever, so. And then that's pretty much where I am today. Earlier on, I did have the benefit of working for other family kind of run businesses that knew what I was capable of and wanted me. So they would hire me on to do a job for them because they knew I wouldn't steal their customer and they knew I was going to do a nice job, things like that. So I did work with some other companies right up through about 2007. Sometimes I'd work a week or a month or something with them and do bigger jobs. Like we were doing one company we were doing is all commercial stuff. We were doing like hospitals and like ARC homes and things like that. And in between that stuff, I would do my stuff. And so that helped me out that I had businesses like that were willing to get what they could out of me and help me along, and I could help them until I got to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore. So and here we are today. Now I want to just do less, really.
Isn't that the truth? If I could do less, that'd be great. So mostly residential then? Mostly residential service?
For me, at this day and age, I mean, I mostly do residential, not so much service generally until more recently. I mean, I do a bit of service, but I'm mostly doing kind of renovation and new construction, and service is probably that smaller third of my business.
Okay.
Generally, but I do it, and I mean, I do rooftop units and I do some commercial stuff, but I'm generally doing, for businesses, but I'm not out there doing process piping at IBM or something, anymore.
Yeah. And I noticed on your thing that you're plumbing and HVAC, so you got your HVAC license as well?
Yeah. So we do, like I said, and I'm not out there like as far as the HVAC part of it goes. I used to have 2 full-time HVAC guys, separate kind of bit, and they would do most of the service and then installs and stuff like that. This day and age, I'm not out there doing commercial refrigeration or any of that stuff. We're doing mini splits, residential furnaces, generally up to 5 ton with a coil on it. I mean, that's pretty much what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not out there trying to sell big giant ductwork jobs anymore. It's just I don't have the manpower to do it, and it's just not something I'm really interested in doing, honestly. Like even the service aspect of it, I generally only service the stuff that I'm putting in or for the customers that are mine currently. I'm not out there advertising, let me clean your AC for $50 with some bullshit catch. You know what I mean? That's just not what I'm doing. It's like a lot of the stuff that I do, and I have to explain to certain customers, I'm like, look, because they'll complain about a price or something. I'm like, look, at $380 or $389, I'm like, I don't even want to do this job. I'm doing this job so that when you need a boiler or you're doing a renovation, that you're going to call me. Like, I'm not going to make any money by the time I drive an hour there, spend 2 hours to do this work and an hour back, plus my material and my gas. I'm like, I'm doing this as a courtesy. And if you don't like that, like, you can call anyone you like. But, like, I don't – certain service, unless you charge tremendous amounts of money, it's just not worth it. And the big companies around here that do service, I mean, they're charging $700 US to install a gas stove that's already delivered right there, and they're not taking the old one. They're pulling it out, hooking it up, putting the anti-tip on, checking it. I'm not even talking about LP conversions. I'm talking natural gas, plug and play, boom, $700 plus tax.
Yeah.
I come out, maybe it's $200-$300 or something like that, and people don't like that even. And I'm like, well, it is what it is.
People don't like anything.
No.
We have a really hard, here, I have a really hard, and I wouldn't say hard, but it's a difficult market to break into the residential, or not break into, just make any money at the residential side of things, because everybody's doing it for $50 cheaper, right?
Right, and I've compared, like people have compared. Generally, I always get I very rarely lose a bid, and it's not necessarily that I'm super dirt cheap, but most of the people that are using me want me because I'm me. It's not like I'm not just the regular guy you're going to call.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't advertised. I haven't spent 1 cent on advertising since 2006. Like I just don't have to. So generally, I get multiple people. They're like, oh, 2 or 3 different people all said to call you, so you must be the guy, you know.
Yeah.
And that's generally what I get. The people that you could tell call you just because you're another name, those are the ones that want to compare all the numbers and stuff like that. And the thing is I'm cheaper than a lot of guys when it comes down to it. And I said this before also. It's like, for example, if we were going to both bid the same job and it was let's just say it's a Navi and NCB 240 combi or whatever.
Yeah.
How one guy pipes it into the next. Again, there's those in and out, no service valves, air scoop, not a separator, this and that, you know, no neutralizers, there's a million ways to skin a cat when it goes to that. And some people go, oh, this guy's $800 less than you. I'm like, yeah, but he used $1,900 less material than me, and he didn't do the job right. And you know, I spend a day cleaning out your pipes and your radiators, and you know, inhibiting the water and everything else. You know, it's like Poland Spring when I'm leaving there, demineralizing. Like these guys are just in and out, no strainer, no nothing, just clogging the shit out of the heat exchanger.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it gets frustrating when you have to really kind of be like, well, this is what, I'm not saying that this guy is going to do that, but is this guy going to do this? Because I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And if something's wrong with it, I'm going to fix it. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's a lot of calls for stuff where I'm going out and fixing stuff that's brand new because the guy that just put it in 2 months ago came once, couldn't figure it out, came twice, couldn't figure it out, and then just never answered the phone again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's why frankly, I say it all the time. That's why we're so busy, is because the new guys, the new install guys that do it cheap have no idea how to fix anything, right?
Right.
And so the second something goes wrong, it's either warranty and you're getting a new one, or call someone else, or wait for the warranty to expire and we'll sell you a new one.
Right. Or some of the prices that people complain about, back to that real quick, is like, oh, it's you know, my uncle's friend who's been retired, and it's like he's doing it on a Saturday, and I'm like, of course I'm like, I couldn't do that for $300. Like I would lose money, and I could prove it to you. Yeah. Like this guy's coming out in a Subaru, and and what else is he going to be doing on that Saturday? Fishing? Like, of course, like he could do that for nothing. Like it's tough being in business. The cost of everything, you know. Like I said, it's just like employees. Like over there, you were just saying last week. Like if I pay a guy. And let's just use $1,000 as an example. If I pay somebody $1,000 a week for 40 hours, which would be $25 an hour, and nobody works for that anymore.
No.
By the time my payroll taxes go through and I corporately match what they get deducted. So if you make $1,000 and claim zero on your federal forms and they take out the maximum withholdings, let's say it's $325, I have to match that. So now I paid you $1,000. Now I paid you $1,325, and then to every $100 I have to pay workers' compensation at 21%. And there's another $210. So now it's
21%. That's the base.
That's for what we're doing, yeah. So I'm at, you know, like I said, it works out. Then you got, you know, unemployment, liability, disability, all this other shit. So if I pay somebody $1,000 a week as a base pay for a salary, it costs me like $1,700 through the company by the time it's all said and done. And it's just the same when I get a check. Like each truck, if I'm sitting home, it's going to cost me $100 or $150 to not leave the office, right? That's just what it costs me per day to pay for all my insurances, my commercial auto policies for all these trucks, and all my payments on trucks and licensing fees, all this stuff and everything else. So by the time that you take that into account, and then one call you go to could be $40 in gas, and then all this other stuff. And I try to explain to people that $500 bill, that was all I was able to get done that day because I charged you that little amount. You take away all this stuff, and then by the time I get a check into my pocket, which I also pay 38% tax they take from me, and I have to corporately match that myself, so it's my money times 2. I end up with like $80 for the day. Like, how much do you go to work for? You know, it's like, it's just like the certain things with flat rate where it's like, I have no problem pricing a boiler system or something flat rate, but with certain things where you don't know the diagnostic time that's going to be involved with certain things, it's like you've said in the past, it's just not worth it. And I try to explain it to lady. I'm like, listen, your lady, you're a teacher. This is like me telling you that, yes, you're going to make that $100,000 a year as your salary, but if any of those kids don't pass to graduate, you have to work the whole summer for free and possibly nighttime until they can pass at a 90% average. Are you willing to go to work for weeks for free? Like, it's the same concept.
Yeah. They just don't get it, right? And that's the sort of the hidden cost of bringing on people. And like you say, if you have, you can only work, we'll say 10 hours a day, and you have 16 hours worth of work, then it's literally not worth it to bring on a second guy unless you literally have 24 hours worth of work, because you got to keep that guy busy and make money on top of it, right?
Right. I mean, I had, for years, I had between 6 and 7 people on board and 5 trucks running. And my payroll, depending on, overtime stuff and this and that, was, $30,000-$40,000 a month.
That's an insane number, right?
So we would
I can't believe that we did that. Anyway.
But it's like the work is always there, but it doesn't mean that the money's there. And it's not that it's theoretically not our money, but we don't always get paid that money when we need it. We get it at certain parts of the job. And that job, even though we're done with our stuff, the tile guy might not be done. The carpenter might not be done. The windows might have been back ordered. There's all these things that come into play to push back some of these big payments. In the meantime, guys still need to be paid on Friday. So it could be really stressful and expensive. And then even as far as people complaining about the price of the big companies, I mean, that's why it is. Like, these guys have guys making $60 an hour sitting there waiting for that phone to ring. That's just how it works, That's what you're paying for, that service, to get them like that, because you're not always going to get me like that in the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and people are like, it's so great, and I'm like, well, I'm glad I could help you, but it might not be this way the next time you call me, just so you know.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I got, in fact, in 2008, that's when I left new construction for that very reason. When the bank draws come due, I'm like, listen, I submitted my invoice like 6 weeks ago. Like, yeah, we just got to get the windows in. I'm like, I don't care about the effing windows. Like, I need my 120K because I'm bleeding all over the place trying to keep my guys happy and pay all the bills, keep the government off my ass, and you guys are waiting for windows to be installed.
Right. Yeah, you have to find your niche into what makes sense. Like, I don't do a lot of work for New York State. Like, they have 90 days to pay you. And then in 90 days, when you don't get a check, you got to call 3 different people.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, yeah, okay, no problem. Then it'll take another month or 2 to get that money. Like, who's got, and certain contractors, like the bigger contractors I've worked with, some of them in contract have it that the last person to be done on that job site. So the last guy, the last man or woman sprinkling, crushed marble around a fern, that of the landscaping, the last person on that damn job, 6 months or 4 months to pay out everybody for their final from the day that person's done planting tulips or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, for me, like, same thing. I'm out on that stuff. The state calls me. All the tea in China is not going to make me do your job because I don't want to put all that money out and wait. Like, I do some stuff, but even contractors, like the contractors I do work for, still, they're guys I've worked with for 15 years, and they pay me a lot of stuff I don't even bid. I come in and I'm like, between 20 and 25, and that includes this, and that. I don't even sign a paper half the time. It's people that I'm that close with, and that's.
But that's what it takes, though, right? Like, how long did it take you to get there? Like, that's not, you started in 2004. Like, were you, what's the timeline on developing relationships like that for you?
Like I say, I started the business in 2004, and I didn't really get to that point. I had a few customers that had like estates, like bigger places that I could stay pretty busy at doing stuff up until about 2007 or so, but I didn't really have the contractor big gigs where I was really locked in. I had a lot of contractors. A lot of those guys were on the blacklist, though. They got cut. But the few that I still do stuff for, I mean, it took me a solid 5 or 6 years to get that kind of work consistently with bigger companies that were going to pay, for sure.
Yeah. No, it takes a while. It's almost, I don't know how to equate it to. It's almost like dating. Like, you're like, okay, is this going to work out? Like, are we going to make this happen? And actually, you're a dick, so I'm out of here? Or,
Yeah, it's funny
yeah,
because I'm that. As far as saying that you're a dick, like I'm kind of that. I'm not to say I'm a dick. I mean, or you can. I don't. It doesn't matter either way.
I'm
But
a
I
dick,
have a lot
100%.
of people that I get work from, real estate agents and stuff like that, that absolutely love me. They literally tell their customers, they're like, he's very upfront. You might not like his. And it's not like I have a bad attitude, but I look at it like I'm very realistic. And I'll tell you, if you're telling me you want to do something and it's pretty stupid, I'm not going to call you an idiot and say it's stupid. But I'm like, well, why don't we consider this or look at this or just sometimes I'll be like, no, I'm not going to do that because that would be stupid.
Yeah.
You know, like people that call you with a Victorian big balloon construction house and want high efficiency heat, and they've got R0 in the attic. It's literally like nothing up. I'm like, no, you're never going to save money. Fix your house, then we'll come look at it next year and put your boiler in. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not. It's not that I'm so much of a dick, but I don't like going around. I don't like trying to sell people. Some of these big companies around here, what they're doing is they're like, oh well, for this amount of money, we could sell you our silver service, our shittier
Yeah,
service.
yeah.
But you pay us an extra $150, we'll give you gold service, and we're gonna not get your floor dirty. I don't even know what that means. Like, we'll do a less shitty job. What does that mean? Like, I could never tell
Listen,
someone
I'll
something.
fully admit that we tried to do that. We had platinum service and gold service and silver. We didn't do bronze because that was like, we'll just come and crap on your floor and leave. But
It's like the
I
silver
tried.
service. We leave the garbage and shit. We don't take away the water.
Yeah, we
Platinum,
we
we'll leave a bin
literally
on your
tried to
pillow.
do that for freaking a year and a half, and I'm like, this is like literally. I'm like, I feel stupid trying to sell this to people because it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Why don't we just give you the best that we can, charge what we need to, and you decide
Yeah, and a
if
lot
it's
of
worth your
people,
money?
it rubs a lot of people the wrong way because they're like, so if I don't pay you this extra money, you're not going to do like good
Yeah,
work for me or what? What does that mean? And I'm like, and I worked for, like I said, when I left the big company I was working for, we had almost 30 vans running, and everybody that wasn't a dummy made really good money. Keep in mind, a 26-man crew, you've got 5 real top dogs and a lot of mediocre guys, and then just some guys that shouldn't even be there.
it's the 80-20 rule, isn't it? It's the
Pretty much.
80-20. 20% of the people know what the F they're doing and are awesome. 80% are morons.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that's how it is.
That company had like a customer protection plan kind of thing where it's like you'd sell this thing. Back then it was $135 or something, and I would literally get $100 of that money if I sold them this plan. So if you sell, so they'd get discounts on future work. Of course, everything came out of the book, all that shit. But I would never, ever, ever sell one of those damn plans. I sold a shitload of them, but never, ever did I sell one of those plans on a small service. I only sold them to people where I'm like, listen, if you sign this paper and you ever call us again, I've got enough work value here to where this plan's free for you. I make $100 and you get cheaper work in the future. The only time I ever sold that thing was if it was like going to make their bill currently less, and they'll save more if they ever call us again. And then I get $100 on top of my commission, which back then, if you make over $5,000 a week, it was like 30%. It was a lot. I had weeks where I was making, $5,000, $8,000 back then.
Yeah.
So
wow, ours lasted about a year and a half, and we did the exact same thing with our techs. Listen, if you sell this, I don't think we gave them $100, but it was $135 for like the platinum plan, and the $100 for the gold, and like $75 for the
shit. You almost said the shit plan.
Just give us your money, and we don't care about you. Is basically what it was. We'll treat you like everybody else, but you can pay me $75 to be treated like dirt.
Yep. That's the truth. It's the truth. And there's so many people like this guy, and he wasn't a horrible guy that I worked for at this last company. Again, I left there in 2003 or something, but this guy was like he wasn't even a plumber. He actually threatened to sue the plumbing board for not giving him a license. Like, you can't just go be like, oh, I'm going to sit in for this test. You either need your journeyman card, and you have to show this that you have your time in, like, or if you weren't a union guy, you have to show documentation by W-2s from your tax returns that you worked under another license for that duration of hours or years, I should say. So anywhere around, it could be between 5 and 10 years experience to even sit for the test to get a master license, and he didn't do shit. So somehow he managed to do this to even run this company. But he had all these schemes. He had a leasing company. He bought his vans for the company and leased them through his own leasing company for tax write-off.
Yeah.
He owned all these buildings and apartments. Even at the shop, there was apartments, and he rented to the plumbers and made that back from him. He was actually a smart guy, but he had this weird thing going on. He started like importing guys from like South Africa, right? This sounds bizarre. I know he was literally flying guys in from South Africa, and it's a whole nother animal. Like, some of them are really nice guys, but it was like, for example, they had their own. Dude, I can't make this shit up. We had a crew of fucking South African guys. Okay, this one guy, he was a great guy. His name was Curtis, and he was the first day I met this guy, because we were kind of briefed on these guys coming in, and this guy's going to run this crew of 6 South African dudes on temporary visas. And I was like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? So this guy Curtis is like, my dream was to come to America and see Celine Dion live. And I'm like, she's Canadian. But okay. The second this guy said that, I was like, your dream was to come here to see Celine Dion. I was like, what are we doing here? And then I'm talking, and none of them, dude, the sight of an imperial tape measure blew these guys' minds, which I can understand that. But it's like the way we call things. Like, I just made a post on TikTok, and I had 1 million guys calling me an idiot because, they're like, that's not a TY, that's a sanitary. Of course it's a sanitary T, but a sanitary T is a TY. It's the same.
I literally had my own chops busted because we call them TYs up here, and people are like, you moron, it's a sanitary T. I'm like, okay, well, nomenclature is whatever it is.
A 90 is a quarter bend, you know what I'm saying? It's the same fucking thing. It's not, the difference is like, oh, no, that's a Y and an eighth. Well, yeah, it is a Y and an eighth. And then some like, oh, it's a combo. A Y with a street 45 is an 8, a combo. It's not a combo. Combo is a singular fitting that has the street 45 on it. It's like a Y and an eighth, I get. Yeah, apple, potatoes, But these guys were calling it like a pipe wrench. They call it a Bubba John.
A Bubba John?
Bubba John. So that's a monkey. I guess that's what they call a monkey or some shit. I don't know. I was like, what the hell is a Bubba John? The Bubba John. I'm like, and then keep in mind, when I say South African, these are all white guys.
Yeah.
Except for one guy. It's just like, they just sound like they slightly, like kind of Australian-y, not the.
Yeah, that's South African.
But then the one guy's got a set of golf clubs in the back of his van. I'm like, what the hell are you doing with the golf clubs? He's like, I use it as a dick. I said, what? He's like, I stick my dick. The guy told the one customer he stuck his dick in the pipe, and this lady called the office and got furious. They call a snake a dick in certain parts of South Africa. And this guy told the customer he stuck his dick in the pipe and couldn't get the clog out. And then she sees him walking out, and the lady calls the office. She's like, he's got a golf club in his hand and told me he stuck a dick in the pipe. I was like, dude, I'm telling you, like I said, they were really good guys. They were great guys, but they were so freaking funny because of just our difference in culture and language.
Different,
It was baffling. I was like, holy crap.
That is awesome.
Wild.
We had a company up here that was called Mexican, and there was a hyphen between the I and the C, so it was Mexican, and they would.
Dude, we're gonna get kicked off. We're gonna get banned.
I know. And they would bring up temporary workers from Mexico. They didn't speak a word. Like, it's Canada for one, so like Spanish, like nobody here speaks Spanish or very little. You know what I mean? Like, it's not some sort of rogue, second language. These guys are speaking Spanish, and I'm just like, dude, I know C, and that is it, and no. Anything else, I'm totally lost. And so it didn't last very long.
Spanish is, there's a lot of There's a lot of Mexicans. Like, for example, like just south of me, there's the highest concentration of Guatemalans outside of Guatemala in the world. I mean, there's a lot of Spanish-speaking places here, but I just picture these guys rolling up and hitting like the La Cucaracha horn or something. Getting out the best we can.
The guy that ran it was like, this is going to be so good. I'm like, and we ended up calling it Mexican because it was just a total freaking disaster.
It's just funny. Some of these schemes and shit, man. Like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah. No, he bought a house and stuck like, 8 of them in one house, and anyway, it was bananas. absolutely insanity. That's what it was.
Yep. It's like
So you're a bit of a hockey player. You're in between freaking.
my kids.
You said you had to find out if you're playing hockey or not.
My kids playing hockey.
Oh,
Like I said,
your kids.
you know, excuse me. I played when I was a kid a little bit. You know what I mean? And I'll still go out now and mess around, but I'm definitely not out playing men's league, getting smashed, and you know what I mean. My feet hurt after about 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my god, my skates are killing me.
Yeah.
Like the last, I went out dressed as Gritty recently. The Flyers
Yeah.
that pisses everybody off. I got that suit, and all the kids beat the crap out of me on the ice for an hour. And that's my holiday thing. When we do the holiday stuff, I come out as Gritty and get beat up.
Nice.
Next year, maybe I'll be the Grinch or something. But yeah, both of my kids are in tournament-bound hockey, so of course it bleeds me financially dry. It's tens of thousands of dollars a year.
It's insane.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not that wealthy. You know what I mean? Like, it's to the point where just yesterday and today, we had to go to Connecticut and get more stuff. I'm like, my 12-year-old needs new gear again. They're both goalies too, so it's just tremendously expensive.
Oh, that sucks.
And I'm like, and they both have skate out gear because they still do skills and stuff like that. So they both have. I mean, it's the equipment alone they grow out of every few months. Like, I still have $1,700 for his chest pad and his legs and his skates that he doesn't fit in now. I didn't even pay it off on the credit card from a couple months ago. Now I had to rebuy the stuff. I'm like, Christ, man. Dude, and like I said, these tournaments, it's the driving, it's the food, it's the hotels, it's everything. It's tremendously expensive.
Yeah.
Like I talked to a mother we might have been in Jersey or Pennsylvania or something at a tournament a while back, and she has 2 kids, and she said she spent over $50,000 US last year on tournaments and hotels. And I was probably at about 25 total for both kids, and I was like, man, that's a lot. And I was like, holy crap.
Like, how many rinks do you guys have down there? Like, my wife's time must be crazy expensive, no?
I mean, right locally to me, there's 2 frequent. But I mean, there's a lot of. I mean, people look at like Canada as being like more hockey oriented, but New York, we've got 3 NHL teams. I mean, it's like New York's a pretty big hockey town, So there's a lot of rinks, but it's not cheap. And right now, like our regular season, my 12-year-old actually they won their division and got number 1 on what they were doing and did really well. Like my son let in 13 goals the whole season of actual season games.
How many games?
16 games or something like that they played. Nice. But the closest to him, as how many goals let in by a goalie, was like 32 or 36. So he's doing really well. But now we're getting him into spring league now, and now like the goalie coaches and stuff like that, because we go to a few different places, one up near like Albany area or Troy, and then another one way down in Brewster, which is more toward the city. And now they're trying to put them on like this AAA team, which is actually their logo is rad. Right away, I was like, oh shit, yeah! It almost looks like Bob Baker, but with a skeleton face is their logo. And it's this big bearded Viking. They're called the Oil Kings, and I was like, no way! I was like, he needs to be on that team, and I'm like, damn, another $5,000 to get the kids on that like AAA team, and it's like that, and then it's the specialty clinics every week, the goalie clinics. They go to this place called Mac. It's $1,500 a kid per week. It's like, geez.
Holy moly.
Yeah. I was
Alan quick, doesn't it?
Alan Carlson was like, I just had to buy a $300 bat for my son and a $90 cleats. I was like, let me show you something, buddy. I just sent a few pictures to him. He was like, oh God. I'm like, dude, it's stressful.
Careful what you say, right?
Yeah, and I grew up a super, super poor kid. I didn't have shit, and until I got it. I don't own anything anybody ever gave me. Parents, nothing like that. My parents haven't spoken to me in 20 years. You know what I mean? I haven't seen anyone unless they've needed something a few times. They've never even seen my kids, So it's like everything I got, I earned it. And it's like I can't really sometimes, depending on, again, it's not that the money's not there and I'm not working every day, but you don't always have that spare 20 grand to throw around all the time. You know what I mean? So sometimes I'm like, oh God, but I don't want to say no because I always wanted to do that when I was a kid, but I was lucky to get the $12 payment to play Little League when I was a kid,
Yeah. I know it, man. Those kids will ruin your life, man. They'll destroy your life, but they're worth it.
I know. I'm just hoping like one of them, at least one of them, gets a scholarship or something to get through school. Because I'm like, the money I spent, I could have sent them both to Harvard by the time they're 16. You know, it's
Yeah.
like crazy.
Is that a serious possibility? It must be if they're going to be AAA.
With my oldest, not to knock down my littlest one, but my oldest boy is, I mean, he eats, breathes, and sleeps it. I mean, you could put him, no doubt, with top NHL stars that are retired newscasters, and you could sit him in a little chair there in the studio, and he could sit and spit stats about what happened in the 1959 Stanley Cup, and he'll talk about players. The kids, this is all he does. It's like that's the only thing he cares about. And he's a great student too. He's an honor roll student every quarter, you know, that he's on there. But hockey is the only thing he cares about. So if he stays this way, and he keeps getting as good as he is, then maybe you know, like if he could do something, that's fine. And I'm not talking about NHL. I'm talking about scholarships.
No.
So NHL is another thing. But, you know, obviously that's great. You know what I mean? Like, look at Charlie McAvoy, you know. Kevin McAvoy's cousin there is like crushing it. He's the best defender in the NHL. He's amazing, you know. He's right from Long Beach, New York, you know, right out of Long Island.
No, I've said the same thing to my own kids. Like, Brooklyn's playing college basketball right now, and she's in her third year, and I'm like, when she started, I'm like, all that matters is getting your scholarship and getting your education, right? Because you're not going to the WNBA. You're not going to make any money off of this. You just need to use that opportunity to flip it into something that's beneficial to your life.
Right.
So,
right. That's what's up. Like, my oldest boy, like, keeps, you know, at this point, he wants to be at West Point. That's another commitment. It's like, and I know, you know, it's like, I'm like, all right, but like, if you get to West Point, I mean, you don't just get, you know, go to school, play hockey. Like, you have a military commitment. You have an officer's commitment if you can.
Yeah.
And that's not free. Like, you're signing some commitment there that you have to legally abide by and make sure that you know, you never know where you're going to end up and what you're going to be doing. So you got to make sure that that's what you want. Because right now you're looking at it like you like West Point because you like hockey and you like, you know, you're a fan of the Army and all that. But
so how does
how that goes?
I don't know how that works. Like, do you have to pay to go to West Point?
So West Point, for example, there's a goalie that's been a mentor of my kids for years now. He actually plays pro now for an AHL team. And they set it up now so that if you do go, because they are a Division I NCAA team, you know, so if you're playing in somewhere, you know, if you're playing for West Point, you have commitment already when you're going to school there that you have to provide service. You know, you have to serve. That's part of the. I'm not just giving you free schooling. You're in military service.
Yeah, okay.
And that's how that works. And they have a thing now where if you get pro contracts, another guy, Dominic Franco, was pulled up to the AHL, and he was playing for the Americans, which is a Sabres AHL team. Yeah. And if you get a pro contract, you can delay your service and potentially get out of it if need be, if you become a Gretzky or something, you know? Up to that point, it wasn't very appealing. Now, the problem with West Point is, it's not a problem, but the problem with some of these teams that we're playing is if you look at the backs of their jerseys, they're all Swedish and Russian, and they're, you know what I mean, from all over the world. Like, West Point, you can't do that. West Point, you must be American. You know what I mean? And we can't pull in Russian players to a military installation. You know what I mean? Like, you have to. So our pool of grabbing people is smaller, and then you have commitment of service that comes after that.
4 years or 5?
It should be
of service.
4, I think, minimum.
Yeah.
But if you're going for an officer spot, I mean, generally a lot of those people are wanting, you know, career out of it, I would imagine. So it's it's an interesting concept. Plumber,
and how far,
what's up, Pete?
How far away from you is that decision for you?
He's coming up on 13, so I mean he's got a little ways to go.
You got a couple years to go.
He's got a few years to go, but he's getting to the point now where people are talking about him, and it's weird to see like little young kids how big like they're talking about. Oh, they're scouts at some of these places. These guys are legitimately out there. When your kids are 12, 13, 15 years
it's
old,
crazy up here.
They know who the
hell Canada is insane.
Right. By the time your kid's in high school, they know who the hell he is if he's good.
Yeah.
And they're
my nephew is 15. He's playing for the CHL team, which is the same as the American, but the Canadian side of that. And he turns 16 sometime next year. There's scouts all over the place, and he hopes he gets drafted at 16, right? And he won't be able to play for like NHL for like 3 or 4 years, but that's like they've known who that kid is for 4 years now.
Right. One of the current main goalie on West Point right now, I think his brother has a contract in Canada playing for like Saskatoon or some place like that.
The Blades or something, yeah.
We're talking about hockey, Pete.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not talking about football.
Yep. And by football, he's probably talking about soccer.
He's about soccer. Soccer's over. The World Cup's over, man. We don't talk about it anymore.
Bob, let me say, if you don't follow Pete on Plumber's Tales, you got to check him out, dude. He's
I will.
Like, if you want to laugh every day of your life, he's
laugh every day of my life.
Dude,
okay.
He is a freaking riot. Like the stuff he posts, and it just every video. He's just a wise ass comedian. Really, that's Plumber by day. Freaking hilarious guy, though. Dude, I'm telling you, some of his videos almost make you piss a little. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? Pardon my language.
All right.
But I have to point
as soon as we're done, I'll and it's Pete. I'll check him out.
He's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Dude, yesterday, he posted a video yesterday, and I was like, oh my God. Like the time, I don't even know what the hell he's doing. He's the guy you definitely want to work with, although he's probably not fun to work with because he seems like he'd be a real lazy prick. You know what I mean? But he's so
get off your effing camera and get to work.
He's so funny. The shit he does, it's like just probably shenanigans all day long. He's the kind of guy, I'm just throwing it out there, but he's the kind of guy that would probably think it's funny to just like, it'd be a cold day and just pour a cold water on your seat before you go and sit down and get your wet ass.
Yeah,
you know, just shenanigans out of the guy every day.
And have the camera freaking so you can watch your reaction to it all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But definitely
all right, so
to work with.
What would your, I'm one of the older guys on here, obviously. You're probably, how old are you? 40-something? 42. So you've been in it for 15, 16 years on your own, and then probably 20 years to round it out.
I got 24 in now. I started when I was, well, maybe more. I started when I was 16. I didn't work, I was on my own by the time I was 18 doing service stuff. So I've got, 20 coming up on, depending on how you look at it, 25 years.
That's
June.
awesome.
And I've never done it.
So what's your advice to some dude that's been in it for 3 years?
Learn stuff. Don't get too comfortable in thinking you know stuff, because every 5 years I think I know a lot of stuff, and I look back, I'm like, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
It's like if you got to adapt. What I do notice is some of the older guys where I'm not to that point yet, I'm still always trying to study up and learn as much as I can on everything. But I was always that way, and that got me way further ahead of the game by being much more valuable, learning everything I could. And back then we were taking books home and stuff like that. And now with guys like me and you, where you can just call us out and the shit we post and on the internet and the Google and all that, you can find anything you want to know. But I feel like some of the older guys around here, the second high efficiency boilers came out, they were just they're done. They had 80% oil and gas is all they wanted to touch. As long as you want to keep learning, you'll be fine. Like, it's a good business. It's a good trade. If you don't if you don't have kids, you're going to do great. No, it just depends on what you want to do. Really, the amount of money we could make, like back when I could work, 80 and 100-hour weeks, you know what I mean? Which I still can sometimes, but if you save your money and invest it right, I mean, you can make a fortune. I've wasted more money than some people ever made.
True. The trade for me has just been absolutely outstanding. It's been like anything else. There's sacrifice and hard work, and you gotta decide where you're gonna spend your hours. But honestly, it's provided me the opportunity to provide incredibly well for 5 kids.
Yeah. Well, mine
that have wanted for
too.
wanted for nothing, and sort of along what you just said, along those same lines. There's lots of guys that when high efficiency whatever came out, they're like, I'm freaking done. Like I'm not learning anymore. It's over. Uh, um,
Yeah, you have to keep trying to get better, otherwise you're gonna sink.
Yeah.
If you're not out there trying to learn, that's it, man. You just have to.
And
And
as you know, like when I first started, there was like the change was slow. Like maybe every 5 or 6 years, something new would come out. But you go to these trade shows now, and like every 6 months, you're like, holy crap! How's that going to change my installs, or how I do business, or like even with software and crap, right? How do you implement that in your work?
everything is baffling. Like I said, just even the control aspect of things and how we're doing stuff now. It's like, it was bad. It was hard enough. It was like originally years ago for me trying to like program and set boilers and stuff. I was like, oh my God. Like then it's like,
Did you have to work on the TechMar system?
Oh, I was just going to say, dude, then you got TechMar shit that comes out and you're like, what the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? That's just a whole other animal. And then you're like, then you come out with all this other stuff. And now the way we got it now is everybody can do anything they want on their phone, which includes screwing up your boiler if you can't lock them out on certain programs. It's like, holy shit, man. It's wild.
It's crazy.
Now we got, and not only that, but now we have systems where it's like hydro air units that are, fed by heat pumps, and also have backup hybrid systems with radiant and with an AC and all this other shit. And it's like, oh my God, just figuring out how to make it all work in harmony sometimes is like, dude, I can't imagine 15 years ago, I would have been like, Jesus.
No, it's true. I remember thinking, I took like 4 TechMar courses over the course of 6 months, like every other weekend for whatever, to try and be like TechMar certified. And then, which was great, and I can do everything I need to do. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm super awesome. And then I remember the first boiler that I hooked up was probably 15 years ago that was connected to Wi-Fi. And you're like, oh, so I don't need this freaking TechMar crap anymore? Which we still use on the commercial side of things, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
I did a system for a guy that used to be the manager for the Red Sox at his house. NDA stuff, so that's more than I probably should have said. But anyhow, like I said, I remember just being like, trying to figure that stuff out. I'm like, oh my God, this is years ago. And I was like, what the hell? But yeah, like I said, it's like there's certain things where, like, to be a kid, but like when I started, I mean, we didn't really even use PEX, and it wasn't really there. It was just copper still. And, there was still guys sometimes still pouring lead joints and shit like that. You know what I mean? Whereas like, yeah, it's like, I mean, once in a while I'll have to do a lead pan or something like that, and I'll have to pour a little drain joint or something, but not very often. But for the most part, I remember being like, I'm never going to use PEX. Like, that's junk. And because back then what we had was like Quest, Poly B, Quest, that would just fall.
Poly B. Yep.
So yeah, but now it's like you'd be a fool to not think that PEX is a superior product in most applications. It's just crazy.
Well, you just did your little thing, right? A couple hours ago with the difference between A and B, right?
Oh yeah. Well, it was just because a couple different people were like, "Oh, which is better for freezing?" And they're really both better, but than the alternatives. But again, like I said in the video, it's like everybody goes, "Oh, A because it expands." Well, B expands also, but B can handle almost double the burst pressure. So it's like the fittings are a different thing, but for tubing wise, I mean, sometimes A is nicer because it's a little more flexible.
Yeah.
Like I said, the actual Vega tubing is right in between B and A as far as flexibility goes. So it's not like trying to get that crap from Home Depot where it's just like super hard, like you know what I mean? The Apollo or something.
I do.
Stiff as a board. But then again, sometimes it's nice running that tubing where it's stiff as a board and you're strapping it up laser straight, and because there's nothing worse than it being cold and it's zero outside and you're like, oh, let me get this roll of Upanor that's stuck like a fucking eagle claw. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, good. You pull it apart and it just comes right back like a phone cord. Like, great.
Yeah, it looks like your mom did it.
Yeah. So
right?
I mean, there's advantages. Yeah, there's advantages to both. You know what I mean? But I mean, stick to what I said. As far as strength, I'm going to go with the B-packs. Makes sense to me.
Oh yeah.
So I had one guy on TikTok was kind of he wrote a kind of a rhetorical question, but still a question. He was like, "I wish they would sell PEX A to homeowners at Lowe's or Home Depot," and I responded with, "Well, they do at some Lowe's. They sell PEX A made by Sharkbite brand. It's made in Spain." He came back with Sharkbite's crap. It's illegal to use here, and I'm like, all right, well, it's illegal here too. But I was like, all right, and then I was like, oh, I'm just talking about and then he's like, oh, the fittings, and I'm like, no, I'm talking about the tubing. And then he was like, incorrect. He responds. He writes, incorrect. PEX A and PEX B are two different size fittings, and I'm like, all right, dude, like he's just smart enough. Just smart enough to be so stupid that I'm like, how am I going to show this guy? I'm like,
you can't. That's the problem with those guys. You can't.
I responded with, let's try this again. I'm like, Sharkbite is a brand. They sell PEX A and PEX B tubing and fittings, not just push to connect,
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, dude, this wasn't, you asked a question and I was like, well, they do offer it. And then it turned into this whole thing where now you think I'm the dumb one. I'm like, I was curiously waiting because I was going to be like, well, we should just go live and talk face to face. And I saw his profile and just like some slob in a wife beater with spaghetti sauce on his shirt. It's like let's have this discussion because you clearly don't have the aptitude to have this discussion with me right now. Not that I'm a brilliant man, but it's like Jesus Christmas. Like some of the stuff that people have to say, and I'm like, dude, did you listen to the video?
No, lots of those guys just go on there to throw fire, right? They're just flamethrowers.
And it's always the guys with the biggest arguments are the most ignorant bastards I've ever seen. Like, they're the worst. The stuff they say. And I'm like, dude, like, if you're that adamant about it, why not just listen, replay it in your mind, and then try to figure out what you're talking about first,
Yeah. Do a little bit of research, right?
Okay, the tubing at Home Depot from Sharkbite is Type C. No. I mean, they might have C at your Home Depot or your Lowe's. Sharkbite sells primarily at like Home Depot. It was PEX B, but they do sell a PEX A with their name branded on it. That is made in Spain. That is an expansion PEX, and they sell the A and B fittings at some locations.
They do.
I've never seen a PEX C sold at Home Depot or Lowe's anywhere ever. To be honest, around here, I don't know about in Canada or wherever.
They sell that. Well, whatever. It's the upgrade from Quest pipe, but most of it is they are upgrading because they realize what crap that lower grade stuff is. So it's getting better.
Well, Zern is making a B-PEX now. Have you heard of that product? No. So you've heard of the Zern brand, but Zern makes a B-PEX now that is an expansion PEX. Oh. So it's B-PEX that can be expanded, or obviously any PEX can be crimped. But dude, it's over 1,000 pounds burst on it. It's still pretty flexible. It's I forgot the name. I'll get back to you in a little bit with the name of the system. But it's got a 100-year warranty. Not that means shit either, but it's a 100-year warranty. Well, that's and they're trying to break in against Uponor and the other big boys. Yep. But I mean, the advantage and a lot of people go, oh, I only like Uponor. I'm like, that's fine, and I like Uponor also. You're right, because there's those times where you just can't get your PureFlow tool in or something, or manual tool in. You can expand something, move it around, push it down, get it done. Can't always do that with crimp or sleeves. There's advantages to it. But a lot of people around here might have PEX AL or, a B PEX that you can't expand, really. You know what I mean? Especially when it's cold. There's some people, like I know John Thompson, like OG at one point, like was expanding a specific brand of B, and they, and it's okay, but it's warm in Arizona. If you do that here where it's cold, on older tubing, it's going to split and it's going to fail. I've seen it. So the advantage to the A tubing is that I can expand it because I have both fittings. And people go, oh, why do you need both? Well, if I'm hitting A to B, I don't want to sit and put male adapters and female adapters and unions and shit all over the place. I just switch systems. I'll crimp one end and expand the other. Yeah. So I tend to do that with everything. That and or the stores.
No, I think you're all right.
Well, yeah, and you run out of rings, like especially during this pandemic crap. Like I couldn't get polymer fittings at one point. I was buying $4 brass fittings. It's like you're we can't get. It's like the Uponor even before the pandemic. Oh, we ran out of polymer, so there's no freaking fittings. Now they bring in Rehow fittings for a month or something. It's like, or you're just buying whatever you could get. Like it got to a point where I was buying fittings by the thousands just to get polymer fittings in F1807 or whatever it's going to be. And now I got crimp rings and all this other stuff. Like, so my preferences and what I use have to be somewhat able to be adapted. Just like you're driving 3 hours to some of these jobs. Whatever that local home center or hardware store is going to have, if you're out of rings, or what do you use? Expansion rings? What do you use usually for PEX?
Yeah, I've been a crimp guy forever with the PEX stuff. And then if it's heating, we expand it, but...
Right. Well, really, it's just the same thing. Like if you're 3 hours away and you don't have the right tool and you can only get rings and you don't have a ring crimper, then you're screwed. So it's like I can crimp rings, I can press sleeves, I can expand. Yeah. I even have the cinch clamp tool if I ever need to do that in a pinch. If not that I want to use that, but if I'm an hour and a half away and the only place open only has cinch clamps, I can use them on a little service thing. I'm not going to obviously do that on a rough in or something like that, but you got to be able to do what you need to do. Sometimes when you need
in the service world, you got to be able to slice and dice it, right? Whatever you walk into. So I see on a bunch of your stuff, you're a bit of an antique guy. Are you out there looking for old tools and
all the time? I've got some stuff I'll show you guys soon. There's a couple guys now that are getting into it, like Zig. You follow Zig Pipes?
Yeah,
Ziegler.
Yeah. I've seen
some
of his stuff.
He's getting into it and stuff like that, and I've been into the old stuff since I was a little kid. My great uncle was like an antiques junkie, and I had little cigar boxes with lead soldiers and all that stuff, and cast iron trains and things like that. So I've always been into the old tools. I've got lots, and I'll smoke some mine soon. Like I post some stuff every now and then of random weird things that nobody knows really what it is, but I've got some of the earliest models of like rigid pipe wrenches like in existence. So there's things like that where it's I'm trying to always go off on certain things. I'll post little bits of stuff, and people are like, "Whoa, you haven't shown any old stuff in a while." But every now and then I'll flash some stuff up. But sometimes I like to compile things in a certain way to present them interestingly, rather than just being like, "Oh, here's this and this."
There's just something else. Yeah, I know you got to get your little story behind it. Because you must have some like pretty awesome places to go. I mean, given that where you live
it's an old area. The British burned. The British burned this place back in the 1700s. It's like there's a lot of history back here. Like
I think those are the Canadians.
Oh man, where's my hat? I got my butler's hat somewhere over here. Where the hell is it? Give me 1 second. I gotta find it. It's sitting right here. I don't know if it's here or not. I don't know what the hell I did with it.
I believe you.
Anyhow, I had a sweet Canadian, like 300-year-old, like military hat. That's pretty. I'll show it to you later. But Canadians, British.
When we came down and burned down the White House, not very many Americans know that happened. That was a long time ago, but
Canadians it's a whole mixture of pricks up there. It's like the French.
Yeah,
you got some of the French and the English. You got the Scottish over there in Nova Scotia. Yeah, those are my pricks over there.
The Scots.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a whole. Eastern Canada is crazy. There's a lot of diversity. I think that's the word of the century or the decade anyway. Over there, that just keep things interesting, I guess, or crazy. More like crazy.
Yep. That was like I said. I was talking about the Butler's Rangers, by the way, who was if you're familiar, I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but they were Canadian regiment during the Revolutionary War era.
Yeah. We got some comments coming in here.
Yeah,
I think Jimmy's laughing at it.
Yeah, we're all over the place just laughing. Mexicans.
It was Mexican that turned out into Mexicant.
Right.
The brilliant idea. Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you got some. I got some hockey games to get to and all the rest of that stuff. What's your parting advice to? Or what, let me say this: Why are you on Instagram? Why are you here? Like, what do you get out of it, or what do you want from it?
Honestly, like I said, I like to teach the kids. I like to spit out. Like I'm not one of those guys to make epic videos of changing a garbage disposal with, you know what I mean? I'm not a videographer. I press play. You know, I mean, we're not far off. We're too
Yeah.
old for that shit. I don't know how to do it like these young guys. So it's like,
Yeah.
I feel, it's honestly, like, to me, it blows my mind that those like 5 million views on a video that's just stupid. Like, you just changed the P trap and made it seem like the raddest thing that ever happened in the world. And I'm like, if I don't have a reason to post something that I think is cool or interesting or that you're going to learn something from, I generally am not going to just post my lunch or something, you know, or I'm not going to post every boiler. I'm not going to post every stupid boiler I post if there's nothing more to show. You know, if I'm not showing you something or something's different, there's no reason for me to post. So I generally post boring informational stuff. And otherwise, like I said, I have nothing else to offer. So, but this is my free time. This is my fun time. I don't have a life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, and every day people call me, other companies, and I help people all the time. So that's kind of my, as far as Instagram, that's become kind of my thing, is showing people some stuff. And hopefully a lot of kids, like, you know, I get a lot of nice messages of people thanking me and stuff like that. So at least I'm helping some people, you know what I mean? Because there's certain people where you look at their stuff and it's like, oh, interesting looking videos, but there's not a damn thing you can get out of any of it.
No.
Really.
I've said to a few people, and I do mean this somewhat facetiously, but if I see one more press video, I'm like, great. Great, you can press. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I get it, and like I said, I'm trying to learn how to do quick TikTok-y things, but I tend to want to like talk and elaborate on what the hell I'm talking about or show you something interesting, and it's a hard thing for me to do, to sit and just be like, you know,
I'm
take a look at this, and it's like, crap, and I'm like, it's a freshman. It's like,
sounds like it looks like you got it in you, man. Come on, Chris. You're like,
yeah. It's like,
you gotta
just like the crappy music.
You gotta be like my man, Matt Boston, who Jimmy's talking about. I mean, he's doing great. Good for him. And that's an interesting side that I don't know how he gets into, like, that monetization of this whole thing is crazy to me, but
I don't know. I feel like some of the biggest accounts are some of the most worthless, honestly, on here, as far as like what you can get from them. And it's, if anybody's doing, and this has nothing to do with that dude in particular, I'm just saying, but like some of the guys that went instantly massive, it's just absolute trash what is on their feet. Like, there's nothing that anyone could get out of any of it a lot of times. And I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing that for? It's just as much as there's.
I think some of it's been done surreptitious, like where they literally bought their followers, right? Absolutely. I don't know how you have 150,000 followers and like 3 comments. I'm like,
yeah. Guys go from 700 to making Eric Awney look like a noob, like overnight, and have no content. You know what I mean? Again, like, what? It's, and then you see the stuff they do. There's some people I'm like, dude, that's like, you're supposed to be a vet. Like, there's some guys, again, I'm not going to name drop, but there's guys on here that are older guys, and they're like, this is, and I'm like, that's the shittiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Like, why would you post that? You know, and I'll post trash, like, you know, same thing. You're just like me. Like, if we're doing something or we made a mistake, we'll talk about it. Yeah. But I'm not, like, when you're that person that criticizes or takes other people's content and just wants to talk over it, and you do some of the worst physical things I've ever seen, it's like why? Why?
And I'm not that guy, but full disclosure, I've literally sent those videos to my boys and like, look at this. This is terrible. If you want to learn something about this, then learn that this is not how this is done. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, it's like, again, I'm on here to help people, not just sitting. I'm not out here trying to criticize people and shit on them. But there's certain few people where I've seen that have big followings, and that's all they do is talk over other people's stuff, and then they have shit to say. And it's like, dude, everything you have done with your own hands has been absolute utter trash. Yeah, like a 2-year apprentice would do better than that. Like, why are you? Who are you to be like, oh, what I don't like is black? Shut up. Like, why do you get to talk over this guy's post? Help the kid out if you think you know better than him. But everything that you do with your own hands looks like you haven't used them ever. So it's like, that's the stuff that bothers me, is when, if you're trying to, you know, criticize someone or something like that, it's like, dude, like, either help or don't help. But you're not, like, you just make yourself look like a dick to me.
It's true.
There's a few guys where I'm like, man, that's not cool, you know?
You're not going to drop any names, eh?
That's pretty obvious.
Oh, he's with. What's that? You went silent there all of a sudden.
Name drop, but I just said again, I'm not trying to be that guy.
No, I'm just trusting your boss.
I also don't think it's hard to figure out who I'm talking about if you follow.
No, it's not. Like you say, it's not hard to look and see what's going on, and like you say, the numbers and what they do are just don't add up. Especially, like you say, you brought up Eric, which is awesome. I mean, he's literally spent a decade working on his, we'll call it the craft of the internet side of things, and he has partners that, you know, help him with his website and his media and all that sort of stuff, which is awesome.
Yep.
And it reflects in what he does and the following that he has and the respect that he has.
And he knows what he's talking about, though.
And he knows what he's talking about.
He's not, like I said, Eric, like that was I know that Turbo, for some reason, Turbo hates most people. Somehow we're on his good graces.
Turbo hates everybody, except for me.
But that's what I was saying. Like, I get along with him well, too, but he's a maniac. But I was like, how are you angry and mad at somebody like Eric? He's just such an intelligent, sweet guy. That's really just a nice, you know what I mean? Like, it's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pete said, drop some English names. What am I going to talk shit about, PB or something? The guy does like 600 pull-ups, so that when I see him one day in London, he kicks the shit out of me.
Exactly right.
Like, he'd be like, hey, mate.
He does really well with frickin' on YouTube. I follow him on YouTube, and he's got he's all. And I guess that's maybe what it is. It's like anything else. If you learn how to use this thing properly, then it can go crazy, right? So,
but that's the thing. When I first started, because I guess I've been on Instagram forever. People are like, you got a lot of followers. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I've been on here for like 7 years. There's guys like the plumber Lorian was on here for like 6 months and went from 700 to 7 million followers in like 2 days. You know, it's like I'm just saying I'm not one of these guys. I've been on here since 2014. I started posting plumbing. I didn't even know there was plumbers on here. 2018 maybe. I was like, oh, there's plumbers. I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I saw guys like Eric, and then I'm like, oh, a lot of stuff. The thing is me wanting to talk. Just what I do respect about Eric is he explains things, talks about. You could learn a lot from guys like Eric. There's a lot of guys that just post random bullshit that they don't even know what they're doing half the time themselves, let alone to teach anyone anything. Because there are guys who post things like the Flex Shaft when it came out, and I'm like, well, what the hell is that thing? But nobody said anything about it. They just made epic videos of putting it through cut out pieces of pipe and shit. And I'm like, what is this thing? And I had to find it out. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the frick? Like,
you need something other than the lab coat demonstration?
If I'm going to show you something, I want to be like, this is a 16-ounce thermos that's been beat around for 15 years, and it keeps my drinks warm for 6 fucking hours. Like, I want to know about it. I don't want it to be like, take a look at this. Boom, boom, boom.
Well, get ready. Because we just had World of Concrete, and AHR's coming up, and fucking wet after that. So it's going to be a long couple of months of just going all the same crap over and over and over again.
Yeah,
Eric from Mechanical Hub. That's who we're talking about. Yeah.
Eric is definitely one of the best guys on here as far as learning some stuff. He's big, but he's not some idiot. You know what I mean? He's not just some guy that's got random algorithm or paid followings and shit. He knows what he's talking about with anything he's saying. He's very modest, and there's a lot you can learn from. The guy's got a lot of experience too, you know? Yeah.
No, having met Eric and actually chatted with him, he's a decent, down-to-earth. He's like the rest of the real people that are just trying to make it work, trying to figure out how to, use the new tech and, share some of his experiences. And I'm like you. My original account started in 2012 and didn't do anything with it till like 2017, where I'm like, oh, look at that. Yeah. There's actually more than just skanks and pictures of mountains on here. There's There's
Yeah.
plumbers on here.
Yeah,
That's cool.
I was
Let's
blown
join
away
into
when I
that.
first found it. Like, I was really just on here because I have like vintage motorcycles and old
Yeah.
Harleys and old British
Oh,
bikes.
yeah.
I got Norton Commandos and Triumphs and shit like that, and that was it. And then all of a sudden, I just stumbled across it, and I was like, wow. And that changed it into what I've got now, you know. And even now, like I said, ever since like around August when they changed the reel to video thing, again, my account just kind of stopped and dropped, and I got nothing now out of this. I got more followers on TikTok in 2 months than I have on Instagram in 7 years, you know. And comments, and it's not a matter of the following. I could give a
They're
shit
all
less
from
if I got
Vietnam, Chris. They're all from Vietnam. Everybody's
no,
from
there's people
TikTok.
that are interacting and stuff, you know what I mean? But that's it. Like I said, I'd rather have the way it used to be, a lot of people that were actual tradespeople would communicate and talk and share text or, you know, whatever. There'd be a lot of reaction based on it. And then everybody's thing was, oh, the reels, everybody can see it. But now I got a bunch of people that could care less what I'm doing, maybe seeing it, and not the people that should be seeing it. So
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
it's like, you know, you post something that's trash and it'll get good views, but something important, nobody sees it, you know? So, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about that, you know?
No.
And the TikTok thing, the TikTok community that's on there is not, there's some good people on there, but it's a lot more like random nonsense and fools on there. Like at least Instagram, where you could write a long explanation, or you could go live. I mean, you can go live on TikTok too, but it's just a different ball game. There's a lot more, you know, shenanigans and clowns on TikTok saying random stuff for sure.
I've tried TikTok. I don't do much on there just because I don't really understand what I'm doing there, for one. And
Yeah,
I get far more enjoyment out of this. And then, of course, LinkedIn is great for the business side of things. For me, I've been able to make a lot of good contacts with like the manufacturing and, you know, side of things through there.
I'm on the LinkedIn now too recently, but I haven't done much of anything. But even on here, I don't promote my business. I don't want, you know what I mean? You're never going to see,
Yeah.
save $100 by calling Armstrong Professional Services. Like, this is, for me, this is a fun thing it's supposed to be a fun thing to do. It's just a way to tell people some shit. I'm not out here trying to sell people on commercials and deals. Like, there's a lot of accounts that are, you know, local guys even, and it's all commercials, you know? It's like, you know,
don't get it.
Buy this. It's like, this isn't, you know, I'm not trying to drum up business. I just want to try to help some people.
Have you
learn about new stuff, you know?
Have you looked into that? Have you looked into advertising on here?
No.
Like I have. It's crazy. Like, it's expensive for one.
Really?
And yeah.
I think it would be dirt cheap to like advertise on Instagram. I would imagine.
It's like paying per click, right? So it's like 5 cents a click. So, you know, over the course of a month, you can spend, you know, $1,200 on and like, who sees that? Like, I can look at my own analytics and see 60% of my audience is from the States.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that.
Yeah, right. Again,
what?
Yeah. How many people?
You're not going to hire me.
You know, that's it. Yeah. It's like every single day I get called. I got 3 calls last week. People want me to go to Brooklyn. I'm like, I'm not driving to, like, I don't service Brooklyn. You know what I mean? It's too far for me. You know, it's too far south. It's not that I haven't done stuff there, you know, years back, but that's not where I go. You know,
the worst one I ever got was I got a call from England through Instagram that wanted me to come fix their toilet.
Pranking you.
I'm like, wait a minute, lady. No, like that service call would be like $10,000 a woman. Like, if you want me to come if you want to send me 10 grand, I'll jump on a plane and come fix your toilet. Other than that.
Yeah, then you'll get, before you come out, your van will be robbed.
Yeah.
Man, they've got a tremendous problem with people stealing all their goddamn tools and stuff. Pete Road, that was me. Like, the shit they got to do. Like, these guys aren't even, like, at least in North America, when they steal our shit, like, they'll like put your car up on blocks and take the wheels, or they'll just like cut the locks. They're straight up cutting the sides of the vans open and ripping the doors off them and shit there. I'm like,
I've seen what they're doing.
It's like, what?
How do you prevent that? It's crazy.
Well, they're using van vaults and stuff like that. But I look at it like, I'm like, there's way better. Like, they're just beasts. I'm like, dude, I could like pick locks and there's much better ways to break into a vehicle than literally cut the fucking van in half. Like, you could go in with a little rod and, you know, an airbag and pop the doors open or something. These guys are coming out sawing the van in half. Like, the whole. Not only do they get your shit, but your van's fucked. It's like, what
You're
the hell,
down
dude?
150K because you can't even use your van after.
Yeah, Pete wrote it so bad, the van theft. I just made a comment, like, speaking to him yesterday's video, about, like, locking his keys in the car and stuff. I'm like, there's so much goddamn dirt on the back of your van. Nobody's going to touch it because they're going to get so dirty that they're not even trying to steal your stuff. Yeah, Pete, I don't understand, like, what the police do. Nothing. You can't rob. How could you take somebody's entire livelihood and not do anything about that? And everything these days is on video.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying my stuff hasn't gotten stolen. I've had my Vito bag right out of my driveway. Somebody came in. Thank God they just saw the little hand tools, because right next to it's $1,000 testo, combustion analyzer, and all this other stuff they could have took. My cameras. Yeah. So let them have some snips and a couple screwdrivers. But it's like
my worst one ever. I was working in an apartment building on the 3rd floor. I was soldering, and for whatever reason, I needed something, so I left all my tools on the ladder. Water was shut down. Line was cut open. Fittings were installed, pasted, had one solder. Went down to get my shit from my van, came up, all gone. They stole my torch. They stole the ladder. They stole all my tools in the apartment building.
Yep. It's wild, Like, at least in New York, they're going to steal your whole van, right? So you can actually claim it. Or they're going to steal your tools, but they're going to break into it. They're not going to sit there and brute force rip your doors off. It's like, it's absolutely bizarre what they're doing in the UK. Like, this van, I've seen, like, Andy Cam, I think, even had it. And they, like, ripped his sliding door, like, off. Like, ripped it, shredded it open. Like Shredder came through with Freddy Krueger's claw or whatever he's got on his glove, and shredded it open.
Is that Batman thing? Didn't Batman have some sort of freaking forearm ripper opener thing?
No, it's just like, dude, it's like there's easier ways to do this. More just street, too. They just go through. They don't give a shit. They're like, ching. They're just smashing and bashing.
Well, then, like you say, it's got to be a whole network of madness to make that happen. I would think. It's got. I don't know. Like all that stuff's got to be going somewhere.
I mean, it's different there. Here, it's funny because I used to know one of the old mayors in this part, and I remember telling him, because we had some bad problems and stuff, and I told him, I was like, you know what? You give me and about 6 of my friends, you give us a federal pardon, and I guarantee you, within about 2 weeks, we could have shit shaped right up. If we knew we couldn't get in trouble and could handle business that the police can't do, 2 weeks, and people would be running away from this place, and it would all be fixed. But it's like we can't do nothing. The people now, the crimes that we're committing in places like California, people just walk in, fill their baskets, and just walk out. Like,
can you believe what's happening? And nobody's doing anything.
But you find a guy in a pickup truck leaving a football game that had a beer, and you're sure as hell going to get pulled over and go to jail.
Yeah,
but like it's like the laws for just doesn't make any sense anymore. Like the stuff that people are able to get away with. Like you could, people are going into art galleries and splashing Warhols with soup and shit. and it's like they're home the next day. It's like
I don't even how they even get that far. Like there's like 8 levels of security to get into a frickin'. We went to the Chicago Museum when I was there, and like it was no easy task to get in. Like once you're in, you're in, but you got to go through. There's Jimmy. Come to Chicago. I was in Chicago, and anyway, I don't know how those guys get that far, but you're right. They do that crazy ass shit, and then 2 days later, they're out.
Yeah,
no consequence.
You become the criminal for trying to save your business. So that's how it goes. I'll tell you what, like, thank God, because like bad things to people. You know what I mean, when I see them trying to bleed me out, like I'm not calling the cops. I might call the ambulance when we're done, and if you're still there, there's going to be a problem. But like I'm telling you, that's like, it's not okay with me.
There was a huge court case up here a couple of years back, or a guy in my neighborhood, whatever, within, we'll say, 10 miles of me. Somebody broke into his barn and was stealing his shit, and the guy came out of his house and shot him from 100 yards and hit him in the shoulder, right? Just didn't kill him. And the police charged the owner.
Of course.
And it was a huge freaking thing, and he eventually won, and it actually changed the law where they said you could now defend yourself. But how is that even a thing? Like, makes no sense.
If I am the criminal and I break in to the Baker Ranch and I am in your living room with your family around, and if you don't have the right to kill me, like that's a huge problem with me. Like, if I can sue you because I broke my arm on the window I broke trying to get into your house, like, it doesn't make sense, man.
Well, I'll kill you.
as that should be your right. I mean, that should
and
be
then deal with the consequences after, right?
Because, like I said, you cause somebody's in my house, it's not. I don't have to reach for. You know what I'm saying? Somebody like I'm not letting you walk out of here. I'll tell you that. Like, I don't care who the hell you are. There's no way. Yeah. Like, you come into my family's house with my kids in here and stuff. That's your last move right there.
Yeah.
And I'll face the consequences. But it's just a shame that people could go in, violent people like that could go into someone's home, get hurt on something while they're robbing this place,
right?
And then sue those people. Because there's a lot of people. I mean, I know a place I used to live like 2 blocks from a place where a guy was sleeping, and they broke into his house to rob him, and he woke up, and they killed that man for no reason other than he woke up.
Yeah.
And
while they were robbing him.
But if he woke up and shot them dead, there's probably a good chance they could have sued him somehow. It's like, not to start talking about all that, but like there has to be consequences for society to function properly. And the stupider we get with how we do things with these laws, the worse we're going to get as far as the kids with morals, how things need to work. Like, you need to know that this isn't okay. You know, you need to know that, this old lady might be crazy and is out of her mind. That does not give you the right to punch her in the face for calling you a name. You know what I mean? There's got to be rules, and we're not following them anymore, and things are going to go way downhill.
A lot of people are not following them, and it's going to be. Speaking of Jimmy, I just saw a quote from his mayor saying that she wants people to stop using money so they don't get robbed. Like, that's the mentality of politicians, right? Stop using money.
Colton,
I might get banned again.
Yeah. I'm surprised we made it this far without getting wild. You know, too bad. I mean, the Mexican thing was getting wild for a minute.
If I get banned again, I'm just going to start another one and another one and another one and another one. Baker, you're not going to keep me off this platform. So, Colton, don't report me, or report me if you want. I love you, Colton, by the way. Keep it up, brother. You're doing great out there.
Yeah, Pete, I generally try to keep my mouth a little bit shut and not say much too. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that'll make comments, and I want to say things to them in return and be like, I'll bet you wouldn't say that if you were standing in front of me. You know what I mean? But you got to kind of keep it, you know, 'cause there's people that say stuff, and you know damn well they're not going to say that face to face to you. You know?
There's the perfect example is my dink that I actually had on the Barn Banter, who wanted to talk some controversy that didn't do anything, literally, you know, challenged me to a fight last week. Come up to Edmonton and I'll fight you. I'm like, all right. Well, I'm going to be in Edmonton Friday.
Give me 5 hours.
Can you get your frickin' talk to your boss and get the time off from your job, you meathead? And of course, nothing. Just crickets. Didn't hear a thing. Because that's how those guys are. They're all, if it's the screen, they're all to face to face. They're like, dude, why are you so hostile?
Yep. Yep. I got in trouble with that stuff too, like with my kids and just things, you know, like my kids are very nice kids and very sweet. And I had a kid that was just not doing the right thing. And, you know, I had to teach my son, you know, when I was younger, I used to box and stuff for a few years. And I'm like, let me show you some stuff. And I'm like, listen, if nobody's helping you and you're surrounded, because these kids are always tough like Voltron when there's 3-4 of them. One-on-one, they're not. I was like, one of them kids don't get off you. They're hurting you. You do not let them break your arm. I'm like, you blast them. Sure as shit. A week later, we get the call. The principal's like, your son said that you said to punch this kid in the face. I said, no, I didn't. I said, if he's hurting you and doing this and nobody's helping, you blast him. And he was giving me a hard time, the principal. And I was like, listen, you're 5'2". If I come to that school and I pick you up by the collar and bang you off the wall, are you going to curl up into a ball or are you going to protect yourself? Are you going to just say, this isn't allowed on school grounds? Like, it's like, no, you have to be able to tell these kids they can't defend themselves against some of these animals. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and I told my kid, I said, even in the, like these other kids were getting them, they'd go into the bathroom and they surround you. And I was like, yo, if you know damn well somebody's hitting you. I said, there's two ways of doing this. You could sit there and get the shit knocked out of you and take it. Or you can knock the shit out of that kid and then get your shit kicked out of you afterwards.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather
take a couple down with you, brother? That's what you got to do.
Like, I'll tell you what, you're getting your butt kicked. You might as well kick some ass first, you know? And maybe the others will scurry, but there's one or two ways for it to end. You know what I mean? And it happened again. And then the kids blocked him in the bathroom and had, you know, a couple things to say because they all think they're like, you know, tough guys. And my kid knocked the shit out of this kid. The other two scurried away. And it's
how it goes.
And I'm like, yo, maybe you guys could be friends after that. You know, like I said, a lot of people I've had scuffles with when I was younger, I became buddies with. And sometimes that has to happen. The only difference is now is you never know which one of these kids is going to like try to stick you with a screwdriver or do something. People are nuts. It's not the same kind of people that 20, 30 years ago.
True. You got to be careful, right? You don't know what kind of level of crazy you're doing.
You also can't sit around and live your whole life getting trampled on. You know, it's like, this is what it is, man. No,
the world will squish you if you let it, right?
Definitely.
I mean, that's the truth. It doesn't matter what you are, you know, and we can, the topic is endless. The government will squish you if they let you, or if you let them. And so you got to stand up for yourself and be as kind as you can and as kind as you can, but you got to look after yourself.
That's it. Man. I mean, I would prefer it. Like I said it 100 times to people. Like, none of us have to like each other, but everybody does deserve a little bit of courtesy and respect. And if you're not willing to give it, you're not going to get it. But it's like you can't go around, you know, doing the wrong thing all the time and think that you're going to, you know, just be able to do your thing and have your say without it going. It's just like politics, man. It's a two-way road, you know. You can't have one person saying, you can't do that, you don't do that, and you can't have that. But I want this, and you have to call me this and do this, and this is the way it's going to be. It's like, no, like I don't care what you do, but you need to not care what I do just the same. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not telling you you have to do this, and you shouldn't have to tell me to do that. We could mutually agree to disagree, be courteous, nod our heads, or just ignore each other. We don't have to be calling each other out and fighting over it. You should do what you want. But the people that want everything don't want to give anything up either, or just let it be. It's like everybody either wants it all or nothing. And it's like,
no,
you know,
it's not going to work. It'll be an interesting. I've had that chat with a couple guys, Turbo included. You know, it's going to be an interesting decade from a political standpoint, from a I don't know, justice standpoint, of how things start to shake out, because it's not going to remain as it is. Like, it's going to change. I think those guys are coming to an end, because it just doesn't make any sense what they're the crap they're spending.
The problem is like I said, we've got just like what I've seen in the past few years. I never would have guessed that it's even possible for people to be the way we are now. It's like, the fact is everybody else in the world, in the big picture of things, is not like us. Like, and it's just like the stuff with people and politics, with even the World Cup. People are going over to like Muslim countries and they're wanting to wear their gay shirts and prance around and stuff. And it's like, if you don't understand, like, you want everybody to accept you, but they have their religion and that's their choice to not accept you. And if for you to go there and try to press your luck, I mean, there's consequences to that. That's why some people just straight up died. Like, I know better, and I have enough respect for their culture to not do such a stupid thing. Like, you don't go to church, any church, and try to tell people that they're wrong. You know what I mean? That's not your place. You don't, you know, like, you don't mix. You can. It's just that you're stirring a pot full of fiery flame when you just want to trample on people for no reason and get them to accept you, but you're not willing to accept them. Like, how are you?
Well, there's that perfect example of this week of that Philadelphia Flyers player, Provolov, that Russian guy.
Exactly.
That all he did is, like, he didn't walk up, he didn't participate in the skate. He didn't go out and warm up. He literally sat in the locker room and said, "Dude, I'm not participating in this." Everybody freaks the F out. Interestingly enough, his jersey sold out on Like, you can't get his jerseys anymore because it's the hottest jersey in the NHL right now, which only tells me that people aren't into the woke stuff. Like, if you want to do what you want to do it. Just quit trying to
Right,
lay
right.
it on
And like I said, like
everybody else.
I have friends, you know, like I said, it's funny because I've got a friend that it was just actually on here a little while ago that called me up one day and was like, "I'm a woman," and I was like, "Huh?" You know, I'm like, okay, you know, like,
Good.
okay, like that's your, you know, it's your life. You know what I'm saying? That's not. I don't have. That's not. Do I think it's whatever? It doesn't matter what I think. It's your life, and if that's how you want to be, then you got to live your life the way you want to live. But you know, you can't expect everybody to be down with that, and they don't have to be. Again, that's one of those things. If you see a person you don't want nothing to do with them, you don't have to disrespect them. You just go the other way.
Yeah, but that's the problem with that. And I have no idea who you're talking about, and maybe he handles it or she handles it the right way, where you're like, listen, I can respect you as a person, but I don't need to trumpet your cause and expect everybody else to
And the interesting thing is that this particular person is like a very conservative, realistic person. That's like, you know, there are no child-friendly drag shows. Like the whole point of it is a sexualized. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting. I'm like, well, I actually went live on TikTok with her and got banned. I didn't say anything. I was treading on eggshells. I was trying not to
banned.
I got banned. And all I was doing was just saying, I was, you know, very thoughtful stuff. Like, yo, I supported her, him, and whatever. Like, you know, I didn't support anything. It's just not my place to, like, if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel, man. Do your thing. Yeah. And I didn't know anything about, like, if somebody said 3 years ago to me something about gender neutral, I wouldn't know what the hell you were talking about. What the fuck does that mean? Like, I've never heard these terms. So I wasn't insulting anybody, but I was saying everything I do know about all this new terminologies and all this random stuff. Like, I never heard of this shit before. Now I hear it and have no idea what it means. The only stuff I do know is from that person. And if they didn't tell me that, I wouldn't have known. I identify as an M18 tool. When we got kids in school, like, you're watching these videos and it's a real thing where these kids identify as cats and shit. And the teacher's like, what do you think? And they're like, meow, meow. Like, dude, we would be in the psych ward if we did that shit at school. What do they grow up to be? They're missing their whole education.
That's the problem. Like, what? So you're 18 or 16 or 26. Like, what does your life look like when you're 53 as a cat?
Yeah, and like, you didn't respond to any teacher in school, so you don't know shit. Like, what are you doing? Who's paying for the litter in your box? Like, what are we doing?
That's what I mean, right? Like, how does that story end? I don't see that has an end.
Baker is trans-vaccinated.
What am I?
Trans-vaccinated.
I'm trans-vaccinated. Yes, I am trans-vaccinated. I identify as having all the vaccines and the boosters.
Right.
All
that stuff.
And
I feel like everybody has the right to live their life, but also that they don't have the right to push all their shit on anybody else.
That's where it gets lost, right? You can do whatever you want until you tell me what I have to think and what I have to say and do.
That's it.
Right? And it's the same for me. If you decide that you're coming out as gay or a woman, then I'm like, okay, man, good for you, bro, or sister, or whatever.
Yeah.
And wish you luck. And I'll shake your hand when I see you, but that's as far as it's no different than my support for you now. Good luck out there, man.
Yeah, right.
If you need something, give me a shout. But I'm not gonna plaster my walls with P.S. the plumber and Armstrong Plumbing all over the place. He's the greatest. He's so brave. Okay.
In my American flag speech.
That's going to get me banned right there. You're so brave.
But we're trying to sound nice here. We're really not doing a good job at it. But it's like, right. Like, everybody, teach their own, man. It's nobody's business. But like, people I think the problem is that people just need to be courteous one way or another. Like, none of us like the same stuff, That's like the difference of an Edmonton and a Calgary fan. It's like,
Yeah.
is it?
At the end of the day, Edmonton sports. I literally have. Is John still on here? I was literally busting John Snyder's balls because he was rooting for the Phillies and hoping the Bills lost. And I said, dude, it's all meaningless. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Every year it's the same cycle.
Man.
Yeah.
It is.
If it does something for you, fantastic. It does nothing for me.
Just like when these random American teams win Stanley Cups with 95% Canadian.
I know that's the best part, right? I love it.
We've got 8 Russians and 17 Canadians and one guy from
Jersey 2 Swedes
on the 4th line. Yeah, it's like they're like, yeah, America.
It's hilarious when even our sports talk shows up here. It's been like 15 years since there's been a Canadian team in the freaking. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's basically Canadians versus Canadians with a couple of Russians and some Swedes in there.
Yeah,
and one really good American. Whoever he might be.
I mean, I don't know. Some of these teams, we must just be paying more money. Like, I don't know how Montreal doesn't have an elite team. Like, the Habs, by default, should have the best pick of the litter. Like, maybe their budget went down. I don't know what's going on, but
the problem is they gave frickin' Carey Price like $12 million a year, and then he got hurt and he's out, and you still got to pay him, which I get. That's the risk that they take, but.
But I mean, like I said, as far as for anybody from Montreal to see a team from New Jersey blow your doors off should be pretty embarrassing. It's like, what are we doing here?
The only thing my vintage is Scott Stevens from New Jersey just killing people over the frickin' center line back in the day.
Pete just said English cricket team made up of South Africans. We were just talking about a pole plumbing force made up of South Africans in New York.
That's right. Or the Mexicans. Don't forget the Mexicans.
Don't let them stick
up here in Canada.
Your pipe. Quebecers. We call them queebs here in New York.
Oh, we call them frogs over here.
The queebs are maniacs, man, because I'll tell you, a lot of them pass through the New York State Thruway.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. They travel, and they've got the biggest XL Tahoe with the roof rack loaded with shit with 14 kids in there, and they're doing 150 kilometers an hour down there. We're doing 90, and these guys are just we're standing still, and they're flying past us at 90 miles an hour. So they're doing 120, and I'm like, what the hell are these queebs rushing off to do? They drive super fast everywhere they go. I don't know if they confuse kilometers with miles over here per hour or what, but
maybe we don't get a lot of the frogs out here because. So we call them out here, the frogs. Anyway, occasionally, but it's like everything we're talking about. It's fairly adversarial from a political point of view, for sure.
Yeah. On
how that all breaks down, but
people get bent out of shape over nothing. You know what I mean? If you don't like a food from a certain restaurant, it's the same thing. Well, I don't like that. How can you not like that? Goat meat, because it tastes like shit. That's why I don't like it. What do you mean?
I can vouch for the fact that goat meat tastes like shit. It absolutely does.
It's what do you mean?
And I don't like curry, so don't send me your curry recipe because it's not going to work. I'm not going to eat it. Anyway, it's bananas.
I just got a kebab the other day from one of the kind of bodega shops around here that has halal food and stuff.
Yeah.
And he gives it to me. Keep in mind, the kebab comes in the nice bread with all the lettuce and the tomato and all the sauce. I open the thing up. It's literally a piece of meat in the bread with nothing. I'm like, what the hell? Sorry, I keep looking at these things. But I'm like, that's not what was in the picture. So I found out one of my friends ordered a sandwich with nothing. I'm like, well, they gave me nothing. English delicacy. I do like some curry, though. I don't know. I could get down with some curry.
I can't stand it for whatever reason.
You get off the train, if you get into Port Authority or Grand Central Station or anywhere in New York, you get right into the city, and by the city, and if you're from New York, we consider the city Manhattan specifically.
Yeah.
So you get into there, the first thing I'm going to do almost every time is get street meat from the Muslims. They got the little cart out there with, oh man, it's like, yeah, it's probably pretty gross. You know, who knows what's going on, but man, is it good.
It's no different than the. I've never had that, but it can't be any different than the donair shop. That's some greasy little place, and they're carving off that crap off the rotisserie that's been there for 4 months. I'm like, that stuff's still good. Oh yes, it'll never go bad. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the fire burns off all the bacteria and bugs underneath it, bro. It's just glopping gelatinous shit dripping off it. Yeah.
Exactly right. Oh, that's exactly right. Brampton, Ontario. Anyway.
Well, we definitely said a lot of bad. Well, I said a lot of bad words on this. This post, this live. It's funny. I'm always complaining too. Every time I do a live, I'm like, God damn it! Now I can't post it because I had turbo on, or I had so on. I'm like, God, I can never post a live because somebody comes on and they're like smoking weed and we're swearing and saying all this stuff. I'm like, I think we got it pretty decently.
That's why we want them raw and real. That's what we're going for here. So, nice job, nice job.
All right, man.
My God. All right.
Anyhow,
lovely.
Yeah, I'm about ready to get something to eat.
Okay. We've been on here for an hour and a half, so almost 2 hours. So, woo! Nice job, brother.
All right, man. Well, good talk, dude. Like I said, always love listening to your chat. Like I said, you're one of the few guys that's willing to actually talk about anything real or give honest opinions. You know, there's no sugarcoating shit. Like I said, you post the good and the bad of even the work that you do. Yeah. If you make a mistake, you post it. You know, some guys are like, not real. You're one of the real ones.
We try to be real. We try to have a good time. Hope everybody out there in the interwebs is doing well. Thanks to Chris for coming on. Check out P.S. the Plumber. He rocks. He's gonna share some fabulous antiquing skills that he's got one of these days.
I didn't tell you about the tattoo I'm getting.
Oh my gosh!
This is a real thing, Bob. I shit you not. You're gonna be so pissed. So you were talking about all these guys with the rigid tattoos and all this stuff, dude.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've got this stupid little eagle. I don't know if you can see it, but he's got like a pipe wrench and a fishing pole in one hand. I got this guy on my leg in 1998. I got this guy on my leg, if you can see it. Look at this guy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's got like a Yankee hat on and shit. But anyhow, after I heard you talking about the rigid tattoos and how stupid it was, I was like, I'm gonna get him. I'm getting a Bob Baker tattoo with you and your face and a beard with a rigid wrench in your hand, dude. Think I'm kidding.
Okay. And I mean this with all the love I can say, then you're a fucking moron.
Yes! I can't wait.
I was literally talking to my kids like 2 days ago of guys that get like Joe Rogan tattoos on their back. I'm like, what in the hell are you, Joe Rogan on your body?
Hold on, I gotta show you some of these stupid tattoos. Hold on. I think I lost my earbuds. Dude, you're gonna laugh. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I lost one earbud. Hold on 1 second. Because I have some of the stupidest tattoos. And it's super funny.
At least you'll admit it. Like, it's fine if you're like, listen, I want to get a stupid tattoo. Then get it. But don't show somebody something and go, dude, this is rad, and if you don't like it, you're an idiot. I'm like, you're an idiot. I don't like it. It's stupid.
Because some people are like, oh, what's the story? Like, remember when they had all those tattoo shows on the TV and everybody was like, oh, my grandmother and my dog and my... People are like, yeah. People are like, what'd you get that for? I'm like, oh, I had an hour to kill. I was in front of a tattoo shop, so I got a hooker leg lamp tattooed on my chest, you know? Fred Gile. Here's a funny one, too. So I've got a parrot on my arm.
Yeah.
On its shoulder. Baby in its mouth. A peg leg standing on a pencil.
Okay, well, you can handle it, man. You can handle the criticism. That's stupid.
Dude, I got enough. Exactly, I got enough dumb shit on me. It doesn't matter anymore. Like a Bob Baker tattoo would just look normal. You know what I mean? They'd be like, "Who's that guy?"
You're gonna have to contact me for licensing on that one, man.
Who's that guy? It's just this famous Canadian plumber. What do you mean? You don't know Bob Baker?
Oh, that's so good. That is hilarious.
Didn't know you were a pirate. I'm trying to think of, oh, I don't know if you can see this guy with his head in his butt here.
Oh yeah, nice, showing off his ass. Nice.
So that guy. So I played in a band for a long time, right? And we used to, tour and travel around. And our bass player, this is years ago, 2007, was doodling at a diner where we were stopped somewhere in
And that's his doodle
or something. And he drew that doodle. Well, all three of us got that tattoo in the same spot on our arm. And then there was this band from Michigan that's been around forever called Al and the Black Hats, like a rockabilly band. All three of those guys got that guy tattooed on their ass. Like, see how it has the little DLD on them? They got the DLD tattooed that big on each ass cheek. And the one guy is a tattooer. He's a tattooist now in Germany. And I just had this conversation. And
you realize if you get murdered that there's going to be, like, they're not going to be able to tell from that tattoo because there's 4 other guys that got it.
Yeah, it's like, I guess I haven't gotten a tattoo in probably 15 years, but like my stuff's so old and faded and like you can't even see some of it anymore, some of the shit, but everything I do have is pretty silly,
Oh, you got a lot, man.
Are you looking at my sweet ass right
fucking
now?
Donkey? You got a little ass on your arm?
Looking at my sweet ass.
Listen, everybody that's listening to this, imagine getting a tattoo so you can say a one-liner like that. Imagine. Stop looking at my sweet little ass. Like,
stop checking out my sweet ass, Bob.
It only emphasizes my point that it's my opinion, obviously.
You're a fucking
stupid.
idiot.
You're an idiot, man.
He said I was going to say something.
We all idiots in different realms and different spheres. So yours just happens to be in body art, I guess. So congratulations.
Yeah, like I said, I could if I didn't have all these when I was so young. Like if I could go back, like I'm not saying I wouldn't get more, but I wouldn't have any of these. I can tell you that. It's like you know what I'm saying? It's like how it turns out. Like you'd make different dumb decisions. Is what you're saying? Dude, I got like the tiger.
What is that?
It's a tiger with a light bulb in his mouth, but he's got like the Steve Martin fake arrow that goes across. God. It's like the Halloween costume arrow over his head.
I was gonna say, is that like a Conor McGregor thing? But no, it's not.
Oh, it's just stupid. That's all, Bob. Just stupid. That's it.
Just stupid.
What? Pete wrote more like body fart. Yep.
Well, thanks for sharing. It's the first time that I've in the barn that people have like disrobed and shown off their tattoos. So nice, man. That's a nice photo. I'm gonna make some highlights out of that and post it this week. Chris gets naked.
Yeah.
That's literally gonna be the headline and the screen capture. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Chris, P.S. the plumber gets naked.
Dude, I don't know if you could see it, but I got this like Sun record with Elvis on it here. I got
years
ago.
See that?
So I'm like, dude, I've been an Elvis fan since I was a kid. So the guy drew it, right? He's actually a pretty famous tattoo artist. He's like, you sure it looks good, right? And I'm like, yeah, it looks great. Instead of a microphone, it had a big wiener in his hand. I was like, dude, oh my God. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with it, man? And I look down and I'm like, oh, come on, dude. Like, at least you didn't tattoo a big dick in his hand instead of a microphone, so.
That might be the line. No, that's just stupid. Yes. I'll figure something out.
Anyhow.
So good.
Thanks for having me on here. Hopefully we didn't scare away all the following.
No.
And
who cares?
Dime a dozen.
I can buy more. Don't worry, Chris. I'll go charge extra on the next job, and I'll go buy myself a $10,000, 10,000 followers. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, there's always some guys sending me little messages. They're like, and for $20, you could get something. $50 to get you 1 million. Like, yeah,
that's right.
What the? Really?
For what?
Hey, if that's how it works.
Get a bunch of East Indians following you and asking you weird questions. want to see the Baba and the Boo Boo or whatever the fuck they say.
Oh, dude, I am so sick of those people trying to send me. Yeah, it's like some Russian girl or something, and they're just trying to like send you nudes or something. Like, dude, what?
That's right.
No, like block. Do you want to see?
That's
Do you
right.
want to see me nude with a little cherry they post or something? No,
No.
this is a plumbing feed here, you know.
I don't. The beauty of the naked lady machine, aka Google, is you can, if you want to see naked ladies, they're 4 seconds away. I hate to say it.
Yeah, the kids will never know the struggle of trying to sneak out of the tree fort with a full-size dirty
Right.
magazine in their waistband. Ever. You know what I mean? These stupid kids have no idea how easy and good they've got it. Like, I remember trying to sneak out of the house, like, not moving, like, everything all right? Yeah, I'm good.
What do you got? Nothing! Nothing!
Try not to wrinkle the magazine and shit, and try not to make it make sounds as I snuck out of the house. Yeah.
Oh, we have very similar stories, I suspect.
Kids now can pull up any damn thing.
Anything they want, which is why they're turning into cats, because they don't appreciate women or whatever they're doing. Oh, that's too easy. I can't. Nobody's a cat. All right, well, I guess you can be a cat then, I guess.
No, we got Bob Schultz. You came too late, Bob. You just missed all the funny shit.
It's over, man. I'll give you a wave anyway. Awesome.
All right. I'm starving to death.
Bob, go get them
Good
to
talk,
eat.
man. Thanks, brother.
Good luck out there. We'll see you in the. What's that? Huh?
I said thanks for everybody that stuck around.
Yeah, stick around. Thanks for sticking around to the end. 2 hours in. Awesome.
Take care, brother.
All right. Behave yourself. Out. Did I lose him? I'm just going to say one thing that Viking Pipefitter, he's now up on YouTube, in case you didn't know. And he's doing some killer-ass giveaway. I think he said, it's too far back in the comments, he's going to do $10,000 American dollars, which is like $55,000 Canadian. It's not. Giveaway, huge giveaway on YouTube. So go follow Viking Pipefitter, exactly how you see it here. I don't know. There's a hyphen in there or underscore. Anyway, check it out. Thanks for tuning in, boys. Have an excellent day. Good luck this week. Got any questions? Got any comments? DM me. Happy to do it. And we're going to start doing this every couple of weeks for sure. Already working on the next one. So peace. Be safe out there. Look after the families and look after the people you love. That's really all that matters at the end of the day. Thanks for tuning in.